English philosopher George Santayana stated in his book, The Life of Reason, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So we must learn just who it was that brought to the surface the ugly underbelly of humanity, one such man being Anastasio Somoza Garcia. The information I'm going to provide for you today comes from the U.S. Department of State, which will provide information on the U.S.'s relation with Nicaragua, noted American doctor of history Ruxana Kambar, who has authored Internal Dynamics for the Nicaraguan Elections, the Encyclopedia Britannica, which provides a basic biography of Garcia, and biography of Anastasio Somoza Garcia, an article written by Dr. Christopher Minster, which appears in the ThoughtCo website. Anastasio Somoza Garcia impacted Nicaragua and the nation's relations to the world by simply abusing his power as a leader. Throughout this presentation, I will cover a bit of Garcia's rise to power, what he did while he was in power, and the legacy that he left. Now then, to begin, we must first see how Garcia came to power. Garcia manipulated his way to the position of president. He started by marrying the right family, a wealthy family that had strong political ties. Because of this, he would eventually be appointed to the director of the National Guard. This would eventually occur due to urgings from the U.S., and then from this position he would eventually manipulate the president until he himself was elected as president. He joined the rebellion in 1926 in support of his wife's uncle, Juan Bautista, mainly because of his uncle's presidential claims. Garcia used the fact that he was educated in the U.S., which made him bilingual, to position himself as an ambassador for Nicaragua to the U.S., according to Minster's article. Now that we know how Garcia came to power, we can look at his actions as a president. Garcia abused his position as president by making himself the wealthiest man in Nicaragua through illegitimate means. Garcia made the government take all of the property of the small but economically important German community and sell it to him during World War II. Garcia also declared himself director of the Pacific Railroad, linking Managua to the nation's principal port, Corinto, which moved his merchandise and crops for free and maintained his vehicles and agricultural equipment. After looking at all that Garcia has done to Nicaragua, we must look to the effects that his reign caused. Garcia left behind him a legacy that affects Nicaragua still to this day. Garcia didn't just establish himself as a dictator, he created a dynasty that would go on for another 15 years. And as you can see here, when the dynasty finally ended, the people of Nicaragua celebrated, and they celebrate still, 10 years after and even now. Due to in small part, Nicaraguan elections are still heavily scrutinized today, according to both the U.S. Department of State and Kambar's book. And the money that he and his family gained essentially placed Nicaragua back many years as a desirable nation. Now that we have seen the beginnings and the end of a man who shows the underbelly of man, we can truly understand the importance of not repeating history. Anastasio Somoza Garcia was a man who had impacted Nicaragua in ways that he likely never would have imagined through his greedy works as a dictator. Although Garcia is one of the most corrupt dictators to rule in Central America, he is still only one man who has accomplished terrible things in position of power. So as we go about our daily lives, remember to learn about the terrible men and women that we do not want to be present in our society.